guys, welcome back to Clockwork Noodles and welcome to the final breakdown for 86. Even though I'm very happy with this ending and I could live with this happy ending that we get, you've ended it in a really good place and that was my big main concern. The one thing I really hate more than anything is cliffhangers, and especially a cliffhanger given when you know there's never going to be a season 2, and that's my Pandora Hearts curse. I also feel like Vanitas is also going to be exactly the same. I don't think there's going to be a season 2. Before we get going, make sure you guys are subscribed. Very shortly, I will be releasing my top 3 anime of this season. It will be my overall review where I tell you what I thought about the season, my hidden gem, what is coming our way, because there's a lot of interesting anime coming our way. I'm going to be breaking down some of those here on the channel with me, but I'm also going to tell you what is coming your way so you know what anime there is out there. I can't believe that we've finally come upon the end of the season so fast. It felt like the season was really dragging. Now it feels like it's really speeding up as all the animes come to an end. About ready to start getting some new titles in, some new names, some new journeys and adventures. There is a Discord channel too to allow you to get a notification to your phone whenever a video goes up. I am really ill still, so I am struggling to produce on time. 86 could have gone out yesterday, but I crashed. I felt really bad. I needed to sleep. I'm abusing the fact I still have my voice. We'll get 86 out of the way. At least 86 then will be done. To be fair, the anime started in such a good place. I can live happy now that I have seen Ernst as a reindeer. He is best dad of the year. He literally deserves best dad of the year award. Struggling to take him seriously with it. Him as a reindeer was just a perfect way to enter the episode. If it had ended with them not together, I would have still accepted Ernst as a reindeer. Maybe give me Raiden as a reindeer. Reindeer Raiden. That's a tongue twister. I would happily also accept that as well. Shin receiving a cookbook for his gift was something I couldn't really imagine, but I guess it makes sense because he started to help Frederica out. If you've watched the channel long enough, you know that food is my goal. Good food is my goal in life. I love food. Food is amazing. It's a fantastic gift to give to somebody to allow them to make really good food for themselves. But it is a nice moment of happiness. We dive quite quickly into some cold hard facts. At the way we're going, that we are doomed to lose to the Legion because you're just simply gonna die of exhaustion, which is going to lead us to the next military plan of the 86 unit coming back. We do get a wrap-up this week. We have a wrap-up on the Eugene death. Marcel finally is able to talk to Shin and actually apologise and accept that it was perhaps his failings that led to Eugene's fate. But we already knew that Shin had already accepted this. To be fair, that's something that Shin does a lot. He does take the blame for a lot of things. It's a really nice wrap-up because Nina doesn't seem angry at all. She's actually thanking Shin as he's on his way out, realising that he wasn't to blame for her brother's death. It's just a nice good wrap-up to that thread. The Headless Reaper is not a burden. It's, if anything, something that wouldn't have made much sense changing the icon now. Shin has opened up to, happily accepted that is his role. He signs off this time as Shin Megami, accepting and becoming the role that has been given. He's no longer looking at it as a curse. He has accepted the role and he is now one with this role. We finally see Shin letting go of his brother's name. Any psychologist or any therapist that's watching this anime, this would be a very positive moment for them because letting go of Shin's brother's name isn't a case that he's going to forget him or anything. It's a sign that Shin is moving forward. He has the strength to move forward out of this nightmare that he's always been holding on to. It's a very positive sign. It's the most positive sign that we've seen with Shin. It's a sign that the cycle is broken. All the way through most of this anime, Shin has been on a spiral downward. Finally letting go and putting his burdens to rest forever to become memories that you're not going to forget. It is a very powerful sequence. Flip-flop back to catch up with my girl, and it's been a very long time since we saw Vladilena. Yes, we saw her very briefly last week, but it wasn't from Vladilena's point of view. It's been a while since we've seen Vladilena. Last I recalled to you guys, I thought the Empire had been completely wiped out. It was gone. We do get a very beautiful mirroring sequence. We have a mirroring graveyard scene. Vladilena goes to see her father, and I do get that feeling that neither Shin nor Vladilena have really seen their departed ones for quite some time. Both take place in snow. Snow has 2 meanings. Snow could be a meaning that you're covering something up, you're hiding something, or it can just be a sign of accepting something. As Vladilena is surrounded by the ruins of her home, it's a very powerful sequence. We are told that it took 1 week for San Magnolia to completely collapse. I'm impressed that it even took that long because when we did catch up with those sequences of San Magnolia coming under fire, it really looked like it was something that would have happened in even just a day. Graveyard of guns and mechs. I did notice that Vladilena and Shin both mirror each other in the way that they remember or they hold their memories. Both of them have boxes. Vladilina has a box of all of the faces that she's drawn for all of her units. Every single 86 that has died under her command has a picture. With Shin, he has all the names of all the people who are technically in that box. I would imagine Shin has more names because he's been doing it longer, but some of those names will overlap. Some of the little pictures that Vladilina has will be a name in the box that Shin has. The Gyad ended up rescuing the remains of San Magnolia, some survivors. There's more survivors than I figured there would be because it really did look hopeless on the way that the anime shows things. But Gyad came to the rescue despite knowing that San Magnolia had the crimes towards 86. They didn't leave them to just die. Better than San Magnolia in that sense. They were able to come in and still help them out. Some members of San Magnolia who seem to refuse to see beyond the colour of hair still. We still have these racist elements coming up, but there is a lot of hope this week. We also get the glimpse of the damage that propaganda can cause because a lot of the civilians were kept in the dark. Now they are unable to process the events because they weren't in the dark, they didn't know what was going on, they were always led to believe that there's nobody out there. So a lot of the civilians who didn't know any better are now struggling to process what's actually gone on and why they're now living in ruins and life has been turned upside down. Vladilina is the Queen of Cats. I didn't initially recognise it as Teppy. I actually wrote a bit earlier in the script, where is Teppy, because we saw his bowl. But it is Teppy. I really didn't think it was. It didn't look the same. I love that she stood there with the cat around her ankle, addressing her senior. I say senior with loose inverted quotes there because he is still the senior who was dismissing her and being quite rude to her. Now we see him doing a 180 as he's praising her, telling her that they need good soldiers to go and fight. Totally recommending you because I know you can do your best. The atmosphere is very, very tense. We are told that the first district has been recaptured. They're living in one district out of 86. We do get a hint at the 86 being alive when Annette tells Lena that the device she has been given matches the Pararade. It is the same technology. And this is only possible if a 86 had come into contact with a member of Gyad and they had examined the Pararade on the ear, which is what they did with, of course, the 86 when they came across and they had it removed. First things they did was removing the Pararade on their ears. That is when we start to see Vladilina's hope. Just a tiny bit of hope because she starts leaning towards her board because she takes the board from her home to keep it with her. She just has a hope that it's her team. It's a member of one of her team. More hope as we see some of the citizens of San Magnolia applying to go and help the Gyad forces. I do also think it's the crew that Vladilina had with her. However, we didn't really get introduced to any of these people. We skipped over Vladilina's story. It was more very quickly we'd see that she had people around her. We didn't know any of their names or anything, but we could see she was amassing a bit of a following. So I have reason to believe it's these guys. I'm also hopeful that there are some other members out there who want to go and fight back and who have seen past the propaganda. The sacrifice Vladilina's uncle made has hopefully bought some time. It's also another form of hope because as we are leaving, Vladilina looks at the board and it says, "Welcome to the true Republic of San Magnolia." Perhaps a new republic can be built out of the ashes of an old republic, which would be accepting of everybody. The storylines finally become one. There's no more flip-flopping between two sides. There's no more, we're going to look at one side, then look at the other. All of our storylines converge. And I could have still been happy if we ended with Vladilina meeting Ernst, because Ernst is the first face that Vladilina sees when she lands and she's finally here to help out. And that is when the two boxers become neighbours. This to me is such a poignant moment. Vladilina's box of faces joining the box of names that is being written by Shin. Our two recorders, Vladilina recording the people under her and Shin who's been doing it for every single person under him, they finally get added together. So we now have names and faces next to one another in the place of memory. Vladilina in the place of memory, which is, I think, one of the first places as well that the 86 were taken to when they arrived in Gyad for the first time. Somewhere to put the names that Shin had been carrying and put them all on that board, that stone, that memory stone. Vladilina is hesitant about adding her 5 names to the box of memories, but we do hear the promise that she will never forget. She's going to keep moving forward to survive. So even if they had died, we even heard it last week, Vladilina will keep moving forward to be a person that they could be proud of. I don't know if she adds the names to the box, because now I'm thinking about it, I have a feeling everybody get their face that she had drawn for them. Something in her heart maybe told her that they hadn't died. So she leaves it and she's able to go and meet her new team. It might just be my brain and how ill I am right now, but I do have a feeling that she had an inkling that they might be alive somewhere. It was maybe hope that she didn't want to let go of them. I also want to praise Raiden for a moment just because I love Raiden to pieces. You guys know how much I love him. I just want to praise Raiden and his awesomeness. Shin now does the mirror of what happened last week as he holds his hand up to Vladlena's plane descending into Gyad. Last time it was him holding up his hand and it was leaving. This time it's coming back. Full circle, we've come full circle. Then given the force of the 86 before Vladlena arrives, because they at this point know she's going to be working with them. They are aware that she's working with them. She, I don't think, is aware that she's working with these guys, and also with her actions coming up, I definitely don't think she recognises them immediately anyway. It's the whole, how is she going to look? Is she going to remember us? Even despite the fact that I think the 86 might actually have known how she looked, because a bit later on, Raiden goes to say that I had seen it, but I don't quite remember it. The possibility that the 86 do know what Vladlena looks like. I like the fact that, again, we get it from Fido's point of view, because Fido has been a character who is there to also record these guys, and I like the fact that it's all about remembering. I think a lot of the underlying themes with 86 is how you remember somebody. You can choose to hold on to somebody but bury you and drag you down like we see with Shin, or you could choose to eventually face it and let go and move forward, which is what we see now with both Shin and Vladlena. This was the moment where my tears started and I started crying, and I had to quickly write between the tears. My script isn't as wet as last week's, but there are still tear stains all over my script. The gleam we get with Fido's lens initially looks like he's about to cry. He's crying tears of happiness at the scene unfolding in front of him. It might have just been a little sparkle off the lens, but it really did look like Fido was crying in happiness at this next moment. We do get the red sequence from last week where Vladlena met Shin for the first time, flipped into the mix. It's very quick, it's very brief because it matches the blue sky. Last time the red was a very poignant scene, and red in general is a very passionate colour. It can be sometimes positive, but in general it's a bit of a ominous colour. But this week we have a blue sky over everything, and the blue sky is a very good colour. It's a healing colour, it's positive, it's a very warm blue as well. Throughout 86, the railway has always been a symbol for 86. That next to the idea of memorying and remembering people, we are finally crossing the railway. So up until this point, we have always agreed that we will meet you somewhere. The railway is leading you to a destination. We see Vladlena crossing the railway to come face to face with her new unit. And this is so symbolic. It's really symbolic because Vladlena's been chasing the 86 and she wants to get to where they are. We do see the end of a track finally shown. The ends of the track leading to the group of 86, her team. She has been chasing up until this point. You have finally hit your destination. She doesn't recognise it's them. She comes face to face to do the whole, hello, my name is Vladlena. I did think she would recognise them. I even said last week I was 100% she would recognise Shin if he lifted up the hatch. Now with this, I'm not convinced that she would have. We get Vladlena's tears starting when they say, you've never seen us, but we've seen you. And it's the whole, hello, Handler 1. I lost it. I think I lost it at that point when my heart was like, oh my God, he's using that term. And that's definitely there to nudge her into remembering everything. And then it's the tears as you can see her face taking a moment to process it. So immediately she's like, wait, what are you talking about? She doesn't cry immediately. It doesn't dawn. You just see the moment when it clicks. It all clicks and the tears start to swell. We get a smile that mirrors Shin's smile from last week. Vladlena is able to name every single one of them as they say something. Teppy is alive. I didn't realise the cat was Teppy. Fido almost killing Lena at the excitement of seeing the cat, and Shin actually putting a hand out to make sure that Vladlena's okay and doesn't get crushed by Fido. A little flutter there. I had a little flutter when I saw that. This really is the perfect ending. It was all I actually ever asked and I wanted to see. I would have been happy if she ended up with Ernst. 86 went all the way to provide me with an ending that I could happily live with. If I never get a season 2, I could be happy knowing that they came face to face. She smiled and there's a smiling moment. And the final image where they're taking a picture for Frederica, it looks like they're going to hold hands. I could happily live with this now. If they did announce that the studio can't do another season, I could live with that. I'm fine. I would eventually have to go to the light novels, but I could live with this. I'm so happy, but I'm so sad. I'm so emotional right now. Every single episode makes you feel something and you're confused or you're going to cry and you don't know if it's a good tear or a bad tear. This anime would have been my anime of the year if it had these 2 episodes. If you had tacked these 2 episodes into last year, I would have given it anime of the year because all I wanted was just to see them come face to face. And it is the perfect place to end this anime. It is absolutely perfect to see the end of the split cause. I love it to pieces. There was also that moment where I'm like, they totally knew because everybody standing there knew it was her, but she didn't know it was them. Emotions, guys. This anime made me feel so much. It made me feel so many feelings. So what I generally do when it comes to the end of any anime, I give it a score out of 10. I do still think it's worth telling you guys at least what I gave it on Mal, in case you are curious. I gave it a 9 out of 10. And that is really rare for me. I do reserve 9. It's also very rare that anything gets a 10. I think there's maybe 5 titles ever I've given a 10. 10 not to hand out anything higher than an 8. 8 for me is still a really good score. I would happily get merch for this anime. I would happily cosplay. I've told a few of you, I want to cosplay Lena. The cosplay I'm making right now is a military outfit. So I could keep some of those patterns and actually try making that cosplay at some point. Started from a place where I didn't get on with it because the comments were really negative, but as time went by, it ended up being me really enjoying the anime. I loved the emotions. I loved where it came from. I also loved the way the anime tells the story. There's a lot of moments where there's symbolism everywhere. You would have to watch this anime a few times to pick up on every single bit of symbolism going on. I probably need to rewatch the last 2 episodes a few times to pick up on a few bits because I need to check if they actually had the names and she gave them the names, because if she did give them the names, that infers she never gave up and she believed they were always alive and she always had some inkling of hope she would meet them again one day, and she was meeting them at the end of the tracks like she said. This anime has been absolutely amazing for styling, composition. One of those rare animes where I used to write very big scripts for it. Nowadays, I don't write big scripts anymore because there's not too much to go into. None of the animes this season have caused me to write more than 2 pages. There hasn't been a single anime out there that I'm breaking down. And that's not to throw shade on anything that I'm breaking down. It's just very rare you get a title like 86, which requires you to go into things. Let me tell you about the lighting. Let me tell you about this symbology coming up. There were too many good moments where I really needed to break it down and show you guys that this anime is doing something more than most animes did. Loved this series. I love this series as a whole. My boy Daya, rest in peace, was my favourite initially. Raiden has become my best boy. I love Shin too, don't get me wrong. I do love Shin. I don't know, something about Raiden just made my heart go doki doki, guys. I love Raiden. Hope that we get a season 2. But if we do not, I will definitely be hitting up the light novels. Thank you so much if you have followed me throughout both of them. And thank you for rejoining me after the delay. It really has meant a lot. I've really enjoyed breaking this season down, this as a whole. 86 is an anime which is a rarity. It's got a great composer. It's got some fantastic voice acting in it. Everything just comes together to make a perfect series. And generally speaking, I'm not a big mech fan. I'm going to watch an anime about mech and war. I'm going to have to go and look at my top 10 list again, aren't I? No. I recently made the effort to log into Mal, actually swap my top 10 over. And there's been a few swaps. 86 currently isn't in the top 10. But a little part of me wants to creep it at least into 10th position or something. If you are on Mal and you can see my lists, keep an eye on it because I might have to make a change or 2. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. I really hope we get a chance to talk about 86 in the future at some point. Maybe it will happen. If it does come out and they do announce another season, I will break it down on this channel. I will happily do that. I don't know if we're going to get anything similar to 86 coming our way, but I will keep my eyes peeled and I'll make sure I bring it to the channel if I think it's of interest to you guys. But until then, until we maybe meet again, keep following that railway track down, and one day we're going to meet, guys, and it's going to be a happy one. Have a good day, guys, and I will see you in another anime series soon. Bye-bye.